A blessed day, everyone. I am Jamela, and welcome again to Book and I. It is a program that will look on different books and their insights, which will help us to grow more in faith and practice. Another part of this book once again passes, and now we will learn the first chapter of part 3 that revolves around the city. What is sound contextualization? What is the brief history of this term? What is the danger of contextualization? And what is the danger of not contextualizing? These are the things that we will unfold in this chapter. Sound contextualization. Contrary to how contextualization is often argued as giving people what they want to hear, it is in fact expressing the gospel message to a particular culture in a way that avoids making the message unnecessarily alien to that culture without compromising the essence and particulars of it, even if it offends and challenges them. And with faithful and skillful contextualization, it will show people how the baseline cultural narratives of their society, as well as the hopes of their hearts, can only find a resolution and fulfillment in Jesus. Now, why does the author emphasize sound contextualization immediately? It is because it is one of the keys to an effective ministry today that ministers must learn. A brief history of the term. The term contextualization may have been first used in 1972 by Shoki Kowi, who argued that national leaders should be encouraged to think creatively about how to communicate the gospel message to their own culture. But later on, under Theological Education Fund of the World Councils of Churches, pressing concern arises as their approach to contextualization assumes that both the Bible and the culture are relative and both are authoritative. And with the Western thought imposed on this idea, the Bible now became non-authoritative and the Christian faith was over-adopted to the culture. The danger of contextualizing. Because of this history, the word contextualization makes many people in the conservative theological circles nervous, as they should. The call to contextualize the gospel has been used as a cover for religious syncretism, surrendering the gospel entirely to culture and morphing Christianity into a different religion. Yet, just like in revivalism, canceling contextualization is never the answer. So, how can we avoid its dangers? Simply, by having a sound and faithful contextualization, adopting the communications and practices of all scriptural teachings to the culture and not just the parts of it. The inevitability of contextualizing. Another reason why canceling contextualization is never the answer to its danger is because there is no single context-free way to express the gospel to all types of culture. From the way the minister chooses words, choose illustrations and metaphors, choosing their level of expressiveness, choosing what among the main objections are to be answered by biblical teachings, and what way of reasoning will the ministers adopt are all entangled to contextualization. As soon as the ministers seek to communicate, they will automatically be making all sorts of cultural moves for a particular culture and group. The danger of not contextualizing or of thinking you aren't. If there is danger in contextualization, there is also danger in not contextualizing because the gospel ministry will be over-adopted to our own culture and under-adopted to new culture, which leads to distortion of the Christian message. And you may ask, how will it be? Well, if we over-adopt Christianity to our culture, anything that is different to it will be considered as un-Christian. Our cultural approach then becomes enshrined as the Christian way to act and live, elevating the tradition of men rather than the gospel message. Thus, skill in contextualization is really a must. Throughout this chapter, one thing that I am reminded of while reading this is the truth that no culture of man should be elevated more than the Word of God. Leaders and ministers must drain themselves from cultural biases because it will distort the Christian message. Our culture's way of living should never be labeled as Christianity, but rather it must sprang up from what God tells us to be and to do. And this is the chapter that we have today. Hope you learned something and may the peace of Christ be with us all. Again, this is Book and I.